All right, everyone, welcome to your HiSET writing class. So first of all, thank you for being here. I know that everyone has a lot of other stuff going on in their lives, and I really value and appreciate the time that you're giving to yourself to try to further your education. And yeah, so good on you. That's awesome. So for today, I want to kind of get you comfortable with what you can expect as far as the overview of what the class will look like. And so what I have in mind today and what I'm hoping that we have time to get through is just to give you a general idea of what to expect from day to day. So you can just start right away just getting into a routine and getting comfortable with what to expect whenever you come to class. The private chat feature is huge. I communicate with everyone during class, like throughout the duration of class, back and forth via the private chat feature. So if you look down to the bottom right of your screen, then you'll see that there's a purple tab that has like 3 white arrows on it. So if you click that tab, that expands a panel. And when you expand that panel, then you can see the other people who are in the class with you, and you'll see a little like bubble. So that bubble is for the chat. Another way, and probably the more efficient way to chat, is to just find me on the attendee panel. So I'll be at the very top under moderator, and then if you go to the far right, then you'll see there's like a little circle with 3 dots. If you click on that, then it will drop down a menu that'll say send a chat message. So you can just send a chat message directly to me. You also have the option of chatting like a group chat with everybody in the classroom, but there's really not much reason to do that. So you could just chat with me privately. So you want to make sure that you get comfortable with that, using that private chat, and that you will be communicating with me primarily through that. Also, like I had said in the welcome email that I sent yesterday, all of our class content is located on Blackboard. So Blackboard is another platform. So we have this link where you came to today, where we will meet during scheduled class time. And then in addition to this link, you'll also want to pull up a separate browser where you will be logged into Blackboard. So I'll share my screen a little bit with you today, and we'll walk through some of the features of Blackboard, but do know that they're separate things and that both of them are what you need to have both of them. They're both necessary in order to be active members of the class. There is a video that I'll have you watch today that will be welcoming you to the HiSET program and just give you some general overview about what to expect from the program. So if you're taking another class, then you'll probably, or if you are a returning student, then you'll probably have already seen this video. It's a short, quick video, and it has some really robust information that is directly pertaining to you. So the directive, I think, will be that it's good information for you to have again. So we'll take some time today in class to watch that video, and then we will cruise on over to Blackboard, and I want to review the syllabus for the class with you, and then I want to look at the writing test at a glance. And then also, I'm hoping that we'll have time today for you to be able to try a couple of sample multiple choice questions. So that's what I have in mind for today. Let's get started. First of all, this is me. I am your instructor. My name is Paige Keller, and there's actually a bio about me on Blackboard that is available to you to check out if you head on over to Blackboard. It'll just give you a little bit more information about me and kind of my history in the HiSET program. So that's me, Paige Keller. I am your instructor. And then there's my email address. plkeller@dmac.edu. That's really the best way to communicate with me. Obviously, we can communicate here, but if you need to communicate with me outside of class, if you could just send me an email. There's my email address. Our career coach for this class is Teresa Wendland, and she is going to be stopping by tomorrow to introduce herself and to just talk with you guys a little bit more about some of the things that she can do to help you in the program. Essentially, she is here to help and support you. So I'm here to kind of help and support you through the academic things, and she's here to help and support you with things that are outside of the classroom. And we'll talk about the HiSET process. You'll learn a little bit more about it in that video too. But so you have to, in order to get to take your official test for writing, you'll have to take a qualifying test. So whenever I feel like, or we feel like you're ready for that, then I'll help you in class schedule your qualifying test. And that will take place in person. You have the option of going to either the Southridge Center or the urban campus, but that's something that I'll work with you on during class, and I'm not sure that that's really the norm. I think the other instructors, they would have you go through your career coach, so just know that it's a little bit different for our class. Whenever it's time for you to qualify, then I will work with you during class time to help you get that scheduled. And essentially, it's basically just because it helps save some time and like 5 or 6 emails between you and Teresa, whereas I can just work with you in class. We can get it figured out, via chat or whatever, and we can just get it scheduled. So I'll help you get your qualifying test scheduled, but then after that, whenever you go and pass it, because you're amazing and awesome and completely capable, then you will work with Teresa to schedule your official test. So like I said, Teresa will be here tomorrow, and she'll introduce herself and talk to you a little bit more about some of the things that she does. But just know that she is our career coach for this class, and that is her email address up on the screen. Really, the best way to communicate with any of us these days is via email. So there was one other thing I was going to say and I forgot, but if you are having trouble getting emails, then make sure you're checking your spam folder. And the other thing I was going to say was that the career coaches are assigned to classes. So if you're in multiple classes, like if you're taking this class and then you also have a math class, say, so Teresa will be your career coach for this class, and then I think it's Matt is the career coach for the other classes, for the math classes, say. So you might say like, oh, I thought my career coach was somebody else, and that could very well be the case. The reason is because they're assigned by class. So if you're in multiple classes, then you very well could have multiple career coaches, and everyone is here to help support you. So just another person on your team. Not bad, right? Okay, so we'll hear more from Teresa tomorrow. Let's talk now about our class specifically. So one thing that I'll say is that you really are best served doing your coursework for this class on an actual desktop or laptop. If you are able to swing that, then that's going to give you your best experience. And Blackboard is friends with Google Chrome. That's the browser that it prefers. So an actual computer in Google Chrome is going to be where you have your best experience. I have seen students sometimes do the work on a laptop, but it's really not ideal, especially since you're going back and forth between multiple browsers so frequently. And it's really cumbersome on a phone. So whenever you come to class, then you'll get logged in. You want to keep yourself muted, and unless we're talking back and forth, or unless I've asked a question. Other than that, really, there's not a whole lot of reason for you to be unmuted. In class, we really do primarily do most of our conversations via the private chat feature. So that's how you do most of your talking. So yep, if you could keep your videos and mics muted for the most part. I mean, the times where you need to unmute yourself to talk is going to be very obvious. That said, I also don't want you to think that that's not an option. You're absolutely allowed to obviously talk during class, but and if that's the way that you prefer, then just let me know, and that's okay. We can communicate that way, but mostly we just do it via the chat feature. So again, another reason why it's just important for you to become familiar with that feature of the classroom. So you'll during our regularly scheduled class times, you will be logged into this virtual classroom at the link I sent you. You'll have another browser open where you'll be logged into Blackboard. And again, the link to get to Blackboard is in the email that I sent you yesterday. It's also in the syllabus, which we'll go through today. So you have the direct link to Blackboard in several different locations available for you. And then we'll also work on a site that's called quill.org. So if you are a returning student, then you can just keep on the same class that you were working on. I have access to all of my past classes. So if you are in a previous class, then you can just keep working on there. That's totally fine. And I can see your progress. I'll just have to know that I need to go look at a different class. If you've maybe created a quill.org account before with another class or another instructor, then you don't need to create a new class, or you don't need to create a new account. You can just continue using that account. What I'll do is I'll just send you the class code for our class specifically, and you have the option of joining. So that's how I would do that, so that you don't lose any of the progress that you've made from previous sections. Or maybe you've never used it before. That's fine. Then you'll create a new student account and you'll use our class code specifically to join my class. So really every day at the beginning of class, come here, get Blackboard opened and get Quill open. It's a good practice to get into. Here's just kind of a quick recap about the things that I've said so far. Again, as I'm going, if you have any questions at all, then feel free to use that raise your hand feature. It's down at the bottom middle of your screen. You'll see the microphone and the video, and then next to it there's the little person with their hand up. If you just click on that, then it will go doo-doo and tell me, oh, somebody has their hand up. So then I'll know that I need to stop talking and see what I can do to be of assistance to you. So that said, here is kind of a class overview of our class. So as you know, everybody here is here to get your HiSET credential. That is the goal of everyone in the class. You want to obtain that HiSET credential. In order to do so, you have to pass official tests in reading, writing, science, social studies, and math. Now, these aren't tests that I've come up with. These aren't tests that they've let me see official tests of. They aren't tests that I've created. They are somebody else's tests that you're going to have to go set for and pass. So what we're trying to do in this class specifically is to help you obtain the skills that you need in order to be successful on the writing test. So the writing test, of all of those 5, the writing test is the only one that has 2 parts to it. So all of the tests, all 5 of them, have multiple choice parts. The writing test also has a part 2, which is where you have to write an essay. So the writing test is a little bit unique in that regard. It's also unique in that you won't find out your results the day of the official test. All the other ones, since they're all multiple choice and being graded by a computer, then you'll get your results that day, in theory. With the writing test, they send that essay portion off to be graded by an actual person. So you have to wait for those results to come in. And I believe HiSET gives themselves like 2 weeks to post it, and it really all just depends on how busy they are at the time that you take your test, because I've seen them posted results as quickly as like 24 hours later, and I've seen it actually have taken up to like 2 weeks. So that's all just kind of outside of our control. But then another thing that's unique about the writing test is that you cannot save it or math for last. So of those 5 tests, then you have to save reading, science, or social studies. One of those ones you have to save for last. You cannot save math or writing for last. So, let's just get it out of the way. And that said, it is important for me to know kind of where you're at in the HiSET process. So this might be your very first cycle. You're brand new to the program. All of this is news to you. But some of you might be, I have 2 officials done, and I've tried the writing official test once and didn't pass it. So, everybody's at a different spot. But if you can kind of give me a little bit of background about where you are in the program, then that will be helpful for me to try to help you. So at some point today, if you could let me know in the chat feature where you're at, if you're brand new, if you've been with the program before, if you have any official tests done, that's always good info for me to have. And yeah, so this first week of class, well, really, our class is broken down into like 5 different units that are all aligned with the HiSET writing curriculum as outlined on the writing test at a glance. So the class content that is on Blackboard is really organized and designed to be pinpointed at what is being tested, and then the lessons are self-contained so that you can focus specifically within that content category on just the skills that you need to work on. So we'll work through an introductory unit together, and we'll try to wrap that up this week. And after that gives me a better snapshot of where your skills are at, and then I can kind of help direct traffic from there. So after we get through this intro unit, then I'll have a better understanding of where you're at, what you need help with, and then we can pivot. And then, all of you, literally everyone in the class, could on any given day be working on different lessons. So that's the beauty of the way that our class is on Blackboard, is that you don't have to spend time focusing on things that you don't need to focus on. I can work with you individually, and we can figure out what it is that you need help with, and then those lessons are already there and available to you on Blackboard, and then also I'm here and available to you during our class time. So that's kind of an overview of our class. Here's kind of what it looks like. At the beginning class, everybody logs in. They're getting their other browsers open, getting settled in on the different sites that we're going to be using, and just chatting with me privately. We'll be figuring out what it is you're going to work on for the day. We'll figure out a course of study for you, and that will be communicated with you and I via the private chat feature. Once everybody has had a chance to get here and get settled in, then I will be sharing any announcements that I might have, and then I'll send you to do your thing. And you might be working on a lesson about subject-verb agreement. Well, we'll look at Blackboard and the content specifically a little bit later, but every lesson has multiple videos that you can watch to get an idea of the concept. They have additional instructional resources like either PowerPoints or handouts, exercises from book, and then each lesson has homework with it or exercises with it. So after you've been introduced to the concept with the videos, then they're reiterated and enriched with the instructional resources, and then you have a chance to actually practice each each concept. All the while, I'm here in the classroom. If whatever questions you have, then we'll work through them together. Sometimes students are working and they'll have a question. I'll be like, you know what, that's a really good question. Like, I'm going to address that with the rest of the class. So then your homework, you can either type it and then email it to me, or you can just record you can record on your own separate sheet of paper, and I always provide the answer keys for you, so you can get that instant feedback, and you can check your own work and then report that to me. So then at the end of class, so this is something that is important to me, that I try to keep in mind with my students. First of all, I know that all of you have other stuff going on, so I like to try to keep our class as contained to our class time as possible, because that is what I feel is respectful of your time. Second of all, I know that you might have another class to get to after this class, and so I personally am also the type that I like to start something and finish it, and I think that that's a good structure for us to have for our class too, because it can really help you be able to focus on what it is that you need to focus on, solidify that information, and hone it during our class time while I'm here with you. So I'll usually, and since everybody's always working on something a little bit different, then I'll usually about 10 minutes before class is scheduled to end for the day, then I'll start saying, I'll start for sure, like reaching out, checking in, encouraging you to find a good spot to stop, making sure that there's any questions that you might have are addressed, and so that we can, start class and end class in this session that we have here together while you have the support, and then also that you are able to go on and do the other things that I know that you have to do outside of our class. So that's kind of that's kind of the class overview. Now comes the welcome video. So like I had mentioned, there is a video that I'm going to ask that you watch. I think it's about 12-15 minutes. So I always like to give 20 minutes, because I feel that will give you sufficient time. I'm going to put a link to this video in the chat. I want you to follow the link, go watch the video, and then whenever you're done watching the video, then when you send me a chat and say, I watched it, and then I'll see if you have any questions. I'll address those. So, about 20 minutes, then we'll be back here and we'll debrief about the video, and then we'll move on to the next part of class. So it's 11:40 right now. So at noon is what I want you to try to shoot for, to be back here and ready to move on. As soon as you have watched the video and are back here, so I know whenever, then I will we'll move on to the next thing. So look in the chat section. I'm going to be dropping a link to a video for you to watch right now. Please go watch that video and then let me know once you're finished. Our goal is to move on at noon. Okay, most people are finished up watching the video, and so I am going to just wait for maybe 2 or 3 more minutes to just make sure everybody has a chance. Once you're finished watching the video, please send me a chat and let me know that you're done. We're going to move on here in probably about 2 or 3 more minutes. Okay, so I've been trying to connect with everybody in the chat, and So those of you that have gotten back to me, it sounds like you don't have any questions and that we're good to go. So I am going to go ahead and move on. So some of you are returning students, some of you are new students. We have a good collection of both in this class. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my returning students and say hello and thank you so much for continuing on with me this cycle. I think that you are awesome, as you know, and I am just super proud of you for all your hard work and dedication to your education. If we haven't already talked about this, then please let me know if you have taken any qualifying tests, if you've got any officials scheduled, just kind of since you're returning, then you might have you might be a little bit farther along in the process is what I'm saying. So just make sure that you keep me updated on where you're at with that. If you have any tests scheduled, if you've taken tests, how did they go, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that you're always where you need to be and do my best to try to help facilitate that. So that said, too, a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about moving forward is stuff that you've probably already heard. So if you're a returning student and you have a different path of study, then that's fine. Go ahead. And I think everybody that has, we have already talked about that in the chat. So moving forward, for those of you who are new to the class with me, first of all, hi again. So there are 3 main sites that we will be utilizing in order to complete the coursework for this class. So just one second. Okay, so getting logged into Blackboard, getting logged into Quill. If you already have a Quill account, then let me know and you can just use our class code to join my class. If you don't have a Quill account, then you'll create a new one this week and join my class. That's another platform that we'll work on a lot in this class. So it's usually those 3 sites, this classroom, Blackboard, and Quill, that you'll have up and going back and forth between them. Let's see here. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the class code in the chat for Quill, so that if you want to work on getting that going between now and the next class, then that's fine, but you don't have to, because we will do it in class too. Today I want to focus on going over the syllabus together and getting through some of those things from the Unit 1 introduction together. So that said, I am going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and we're going to go to Blackboard together and we're going to look over the syllabus. So just keep in mind that whenever I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. So if you send me a chat, that's fine, but I won't be able to see it until I'm back from doing my demonstration. So Okay, so sharing my screen now. Okay, so whenever you log into Blackboard, and if you're not able to log into Blackboard, you don't have your credentials, thank you for letting me know that. I'll take care of that. We'll get you all squared away. But you will log in. It'll look something like this, except for, this will be your name, obviously. And you'll want to come down here where it says courses. So you'll click on courses. And then when you first log in, then it's probably going to look more like this, where you just have a list of past courses that you've been enrolled in. You want to find our class, which is right here, 27295. And so you'll find that in the list, 27295. And in our welcome video, I had put that was our class number in the subject line, so that's an easy, accessible information for you. So you'll find our class, and then you'll hit this star button right here, and that will move it up to the top, so that every time you log in, it's showing up at the top of the list, and you won't have to go through it every single time, all those different classes. So you see the top part you can't click on, the bottom part you can. So you want to click on the part that you can click on, and that will bring you to our class page. So the first thing that you'll see are any announcements. And then if you go over here to this top left corner, sometimes I'll say go to the top left and click course content. So sometimes students will be like, yeah, I don't have course content. This is an expandable panel. So if yours, when you log in, looks like this, then you just come up here to this little gray triangle and click that, and it'll drop it down. So announcements are the first thing that comes up. Syllabus, we will go over this right now. And so okay, so there's my contact information. Essentially, meet me here in class during our regularly scheduled class time, and if you need to get a hold of me outside of class time, then email is the best. I don't have a phone right now because I am working from home, so I don't have I'm not at my desk. So email, I'll get back to you. The link that I sent to you is the only link for the duration of this class. So our class, today's obviously our first day, and then May 6th, so 1 month is the time that we have together. And we will meet on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 11 to 1 during that time section, and it's always going to be at the same link. So I won't be sending out new links or anything. You can always meet me here during this scheduled class time at that link. There's some information in there about me as your instructor if you want a little bit more background, a little bit more bio. There is a contact information for Teresa, who is our career coach, and I spoke about her a little bit at the beginning of class, but she'll be here tomorrow to introduce herself. So again, here is the direct link for Blackboard, and then here's the direct link for our classroom. So this is just all information that I want you to know is here and be aware of in case you need to access it quickly. Again, just to reiterate, our class will meet at our virtual classroom Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 11 to 1. Today's our first day, and our last day is going to be Thursday, May 6th. So note that last week of class will be ending on Thursday, won't have class on Friday, so it's ending a little bit earlier that week because we would generally have class on Friday. But May 6th, the Thursday, is going to be our last day of class. This class specifically, we're focusing on the skills that you need to be successful for the HiSET writing test. There are some helpful links in here that you might want to take a chance to look through if you have a chance. There's one link that will take you to DMAC's HiSET page to give you a little bit more information about the program. And then these bottom two links are going to take you to the HiSET website, the actual HiSET website. And they just have great information about the different things that are tested in each of the tests. We will actually go through this at a glance together today. So here is an overview of the course as we have discussed thus far. You really need to make sure that you're able to log on to Blackboard, and every class session you'll have our classroom link open, Blackboard open, and then you'll complete your coursework through Blackboard. You'll access your coursework on Blackboard. You will record your scores, or you'll record your homework either on your own sheet of paper and then check and report back to me, or you can type it like in a Word document. Different things seem to work better for different people, and I like to try to be flexible with that. So yep, like I said, we'll work through an introductory unit together this week, and then by the end of this week, that should give me a better idea of where you're at. I'm sure some of you are gonna, maybe some of you are gonna be ready to try a qualifying test. Maybe some of you are gonna need a little bit more practice with writing conventions. Maybe some of you are gonna wanna practice more with the essay, but at the end of this week, I'll have a better idea of where you're at and what you need help with, and then I'll direct you from there. So you'll be working on a personalized path of study that is catered to what you need. There's also, you'll see, in addition to the 5 units that are on Blackboard, that there's also a unit that's called the Heroes unit. And this is kind of a cool thing that I encourage students to work through a passage or two a week. That I have collaborated with Jessica, who is the other literacy instructor for HiSET. She teaches the reading and the content area, and she uses these same passages, focusing on them from a developing your reading skills standpoint. So if you're in her class, then this will be good overlap. You'll get the same concepts, but we'll be focusing on it from a writing perspective. So all of those passages are in there. You just read through them and type your answers in a Word document, and then you'll send that to me, and I could provide you some feedback. But it's a good way for you to get a deeper dive into the things that she is working on in her class. And then on Quill, I always say try to get at least 3 lessons a week on Quill. So we'll focus more on Quill kind of towards the end of the week. So I don't want you to have to worry about it too much today, but essentially you'll go to quill.org, you'll create a student account, you'll use a class code that will put you in my class, and then once you've done that, you'll let me know. I will assign you a diagnostic test. So it'll be an initial test that you'll take that will kind of get a gauge of where you need to focus your efforts, and then I will assign you more assignments on that platform that are catered to helping hone those deficits. So the format of our program has changed this program year, so since fall, and we've moved to this 5-week session format. So we're not here, we don't have very much time together, we just have 5 weeks together, which is different from what it's been in the past. And because of that, then attendance has been called into the limelight, and in the past, instructors had more of a say about what their attendance policy was for their class, but as of this program year, then we are following state and federal directives, which state that you can't miss more than 2 classes consecutively, and that you can't miss more than 5 classes total for a 5-week session. So if attendance becomes a problem, then we'll reach out to you and we'll try to get you re-engaged, try to figure out what's going on. But if you are in violation of that attendance policy, you'll get an email from your career coach letting you know that you've been dropped, and encouraging you to try to re-engage for the next 5-week cycle, which will just be coming up just around the bend. So Here are some things that these are recommended, okay? So this is not, you don't have to engage in any of these resources. I always would rather you have more than you need and not need it than need more than you have and not have it. So these are just some things that I wanted to call to your attention that are resources available to you. The adult literacy program is a great program that works uh, through DMAC. They're housed at the urban campus, and they're just their own separate entity, and they are dedicated to helping people become better readers and writers. They have their own software, so when you get enrolled in the program, then they'll give you a username and a password that will get you signed on to their website, where they use this software called MindPlay. And essentially you go through a battery of diagnostic tests at the very beginning, and then those tests are able to kind of pinpoint what skills you really need to focus on, and then they will provide you with lessons and activities that do just that. And they have they really, it's been shown to increase reading and writing skills by grade levels. Research statistically supports that if you follow the course that they recommend for you. So if you want to do that, if it's something you want more information about, I recommend Anne. Right here's your email address, right here's your phone number. You could reach out to her, and it doesn't cost anything to join. It's free. The only thing is that you have to dedicate an hour a week to their software in order to maintain current. And I always say that you can use that hour during our class time. So I don't want you to feel like it's something additional, like another time commitment, because I know that everybody is limited in that as it is. So you don't have to take on another thing. You can use this thing in concert with our thing. And I have seen that students who do just that, it really helps enrich their understanding of the material that we cover in my class. So that's something that I wanted you to know is available to you. There's also a book. So for my class, we have we use a lot of our curriculum is designed around this book. So this is a book that I recommend. There are a lot of different exam prep books out there. This is the one that I really recommend, and I always say the second edition. Again, this is not required. You do not have to do it. I just want to make sure you know that there are these additional resources out there available to you. There's another book too that's called the Kaplan exam prep book, and students like to have that. It has different lessons in it and then exercises at the end. And I guess the important point too is that both of these books have instructional resources for all of the different subjects, not just writing. So something else that's pretty cool is DMAC has an online tutoring program. So as I understand it, you can go to their website, which is right here, and schedule an appointment, or you can just call this phone number and you can say to them, hey, I am a HiSET student and I am in my math class, and we are working on quadratic equations, and I'm just would really like to have like a one-on-one tutor. Is that something that you guys can help me with? And as I understand it, then they find somebody who can help you with that, and you guys schedule like a 1-hour Zoom meeting. And don't quote me on the time, maybe it's less than that. You schedule a Zoom meeting, and they'll work with you one-on-one. So that's something that I've heard a lot of good things about. I don't have a whole lot of experience with it myself, but I've heard great things about it. And again, a resource I want to let you know is available to you, the DMAC online tutoring program. There's a link. Again, this is all on Blackboard, so you have access to these links if you just go into the syllabus. this link is for, I usually refer students here if they've gone through like all of the practice tests that I have available to me. But this is through the DMAC library website. And so you click on that link, you have to create a free account. And then once you do, then they have prep resources for the HiSET exam. So that's kind of cool. readworks.org, khanacademy.org, and commonlit.org are other websites that I would encourage you to check out if you haven't ever. They have great instructional resources, activities. Actually, Khan Academy is a lot of our videos for our lessons come from there. They're great. They're awesome. Okay, just to reiterate, here's the attendance policy. So I've talked about it, but if you need additional information about it, then it's all here in the syllabus. So if you are not able to be at class one day, if you have to leave early, really just communication is the best thing. Let us know. And in order to get where you're going, then you got to make attendance a priority. The grading criteria. Okay, so let's talk about this really quick. So for your official test, that's going to be a scaled score, which I'll talk a little bit about in just a second. But in order to get to the official test, you have to take the qualifying test. So your qualifying test, you'll go to a DMAC location, either the Southridge Center or Urban, and you will have to take a multiple choice section, and you'll have to write an essay. The multiple choice section is going to be, they're different forms of the test. So this, I'm just giving you a ballpark, but the multiple choice section might be 25 questions, and you have to get 19 correct in order to pass that section. And then your essay is rated on a 1 to 6 scale, and you have to get a 2 or higher. And I have the grading criteria available for the essay on our Blackboard page. So I will direct you to that so that you can look there and see like, oh, this is what a 1 looks like, this is what a 2 looks like, and etc. But so you take the multiple choice, you get 20 out of 25, you write the essay, you get a 3, you're good. You passed your qualifying test. Let's get your official going, right? So then you'll work with Teresa to get your official scheduled. When you go to take the official test, that is done at the testing center, the DMAC testing center. It's all done on a computer, so you'll have to type your essay and you'll be filling in your answers to the multiple choice on a computer. And that is going to be 60 multiple choice questions and an essay, and you have 2 hours to complete that. So a couple things to keep in mind is that there's going to be a little bit of difference in the actual length of the test from your qualifying test to your official test, which your time limits are adjusted accordingly. But for your official, 60 multiple choice questions, 1 essay, 2 hours to complete them both. This is a little bit about the grading for your official. So it's a scaled score, which as I understand it, and I have just enough information to be dangerous, I think, but so there are like 3 different versions of the HiSET official test that are circulating each year. So 3 of you in this class, 3 different people could go to take your official test one day, and each of you could have a different version of that official test. You're not taking the same one. So some of them are a little bit more difficult than others. So the whatever form or version is more difficult, then you don't have to score quite as many correct. Whereas the ones that are easier, then you might have to score more correct. So that's what that means by like a scaled score. So for your multiple choice, then you have to get an 8 or higher. So you go 1 to 20, you have to get an 8 or higher to pass the multiple choice. And then on the essay, you have to get a 2 or higher. Again, I will show you where you can find the grading criteria for the essay on our Blackboard page. But so let's say that you got a 7 on the multiple choice and a 6 on the essay. I've never seen anybody get a 6. I've seen a 5, but not a 6. Anyways, let's say that that's what you got. You didn't pass. You have to get an 8 or above and a 2 or above, and they are done together. So you wouldn't pass that attempt. So you go back to class, we'll figure out what went wrong, what you need to focus on more, what you need more practice on. We'll get you ready again. You'll have to go back through the qualifying process, and then when you go take the official again, you have to take both parts again. So just because you pass the essay doesn't mean that you don't take it again. You have to pass them both at the same time in the same setting, and you have to get an 8 or higher on the multiple choice and a 2 or above on the essay. So that said, let's talk a little bit about a composite score. Your total score of all 5 tests whenever you're done has to add up to 45 or higher. So if you just get 8 on all 5 tests, 8 times 5 is 40. You didn't pass. You're gonna have to choose one subject, go back, retake it, and try to get a higher score to make up those 5 points. So if you just get an 8, say on the writing multiple choice portion, because the essay doesn't add into it, it's just the multiple choices. If you get just an 8 on the multiple choice portion, then that's fine. As long as you get a 2 on the essay, then you passed your writing. You're good there. But you just have to make up those extra points on another test. So your total of all of the 5 tests have to add up to 45. Classroom conduct, let's just be nice to each other. Let's be respectful and safe, and communicate with me via the private chat. Keep your mics and your video muted unless you are talking. Try to find, if at all possible, a dedicated space where you can work and not be distracted. You will schedule your qualifying test with me. You'll schedule your official test with Teresa. This is a big one about if we don't have class, if I have to cancel class, which I can tell you right now that I do have some like personal business time that I need to use up between now and the end of our in the next month. So there probably of course if there's any way for me to communicate with you ahead of time about a canceled class, then I'll definitely do that. But what normally is the case is that one of my children gets sick, and I can't plan for that ahead of time. And so if I have to cancel class one day, I'll email you guys and let you know that. So it's a good habit to get into, of just checking your email at the beginning of class, or before you log on to class, check your email. So I will be communicating any class cancellation via email with as much notice as possible. But again, there are things that come up that I can't plan for. So okay, so accommodations. If you feel like you need accommodations, then that's something that you'll work with your career coach to get. So sometimes people need an accommodation for a paper pencil test because the typing or the computer-based environment isn't good for them for whatever reason. There is a process that you have to go through, and I can say that nothing is guaranteed, but if you feel like you need accommodations for something, then make sure that you reach out to your career coach and let them know that. Here is just a sample schedule of how you could get through all of the units within the given time frame that we have. Again, this is just a sample and an estimation. So what my instinct would tell me is that we'll work through this unit 1 together, and then some of you, like I said, I imagine some of you probably ready to qualify, but some of you might need to work more on language facility. Cool, we can work through unit 3. And you could take 2 weeks to work through unit 3 and not focus on unit 2 at all. So again, it's catered to you and your needs as much as possible. So these lessons are self-contained. You don't necessarily need to do one before the other. If the skills that you have foundationally meet the rigor of the lesson. If not, then you can go back to the one before it and work on that in order to get some foundational skills that will help you be more successful with the next lesson. Okay, so that is the syllabus review. I am going to just take a couple of minutes here to stop sharing my screen and to check in with everyone via the chat to just make sure that you don't have any questions, okay? So that is what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to take 2 quick minutes. I'm going to check in with everybody via chat. Make sure you don't have any questions. If you do, I want to address them. If it's a question that would be good for everyone in the class, then that will be great too. Then after that, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about we're going to review the test at a glance real quick. So just give me 1 quick second and pay attention to the chat. Let's just touch base via chat real quick and then okay. I've been trying to connect via chat and I don't see any questions. So as always, if any come up, then just let me know. But I do want to move on real quick to talk about the writing test at a glance. So I'm going to share my screen with you and we're going to go back to Blackboard. Just a quick reminder that whenever I'm sharing my screen, then I'm not able to see the chat. So if you have a question that you want me to stop and address, then raise your hand. So that is that little feature down at the bottom that's right by the microphone and the video, then the person with their hand up. If I'm talking while I'm sharing my screen and you need me to stop to address a question right then, throw your hand up and I'll stop and I'll come back to this classroom and we'll make sure that we clear up anything that you had a question about at that time. Otherwise, if it's something that you're fine with me waiting to answer until I get back from the demonstration, then just throw it in the chat so that we don't forget it, and I will definitely answer it whenever I'm not sharing my screen anymore. But can't see the chat when I'm sharing my screen. So I am going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to show you about another resource that is on Blackboard in that first unit. Okay, this we did. So whenever you get on Blackboard, right, you find our class 27295, click the clickable link. This top left, if it looks like this, then click this little gray arrow to expand it. Here are your main things that you're going to want to use in order to navigate the site. We just went over, I just clicked syllabus, brought me to here. I clicked on that PDF. That's what we just went over together. So if there's anything in there that you need, then I emailed it to you, but also this is how you would access it on Blackboard. The next one below, that gives you, hey, that's me. That gives you a little bio about me, your instructor. And then the one below it, that's really where the meat and potatoes of our Blackboard page are. This first video is, you guessed it, that welcome video that we watched at the beginning of class. I've posted it here for you too. So if there's anything in that video that you want to rewatch or revisit, you have the access to it right here on our Blackboard page. So there's that. Here is the link to our classroom. So, you know, really you could just log into here every day and then take this, copy paste it, or copy it, open a new browser, paste it, and then that brings you to our classroom. So then you have both of the browsers open and ready. Okay, so Unit 1, Introduction. Now, let me just show you. See these units: writing conventions, language facility, organization of ideas, right? That will come into play here. Just a second. Let me show you something. So when you go into Unit 1, Introduction, course overview, that's what I've been talking about this whole time. It just is an overview of what to expect from the course, and we've literally talked about all of this before. So that's what that first folder is. The second folder is the writing test at a glance. This is something that I want us to look at together. So when I click on this link, then it's going to link me to the HiSET website. Okay, so see, this is 26 pages, this document. That's because it gives an information brief about all 5 of the tests. So the first one is going to be reading, so you have to cruise through a little bit before you get to the writing one. But I wanted you to have this because I know that you're taking, a lot of you, multiple classes, so maybe, you know, this might be good information for you to have for another class that you're taking. But like I said, cruise down. I think it starts on page 6 is the writing test at a glance. So this is an overview of the official writing test. So it tells you, you know, the format, the number of questions, and then gives you the content category about what is being tested. So the multiple choice is going to have 60 questions, and the essay is 1 essay, and you have 120 minutes, 2 hours to complete. 60 multiple choice, 1 essay. This is the category of things that are tested. Remember, I just told you to keep in mind the way that our curriculums are, the curriculum for our class is organized. It's aligned with what is tested here. So we can, within each of these, we have units that are each of these concepts, and then within each of those units there are lessons. So these are the things that are tested. Those are the content categories that are tested. And then as far as the essay goes, so I will share with you as part of this class a formula that students have really found to have great success with when it comes to writing the essay. So the way that I present it to you is just more of a strategy for you to memorize. And if you do so, then it's really just like you have all of the pieces to the puzzle. It's just a matter of putting them together. So that takes a lot of the guesswork out and makes the process of writing, which sometimes be a little bit daunting, a little bit more systematic and approachable for a lot of students. But ultimately, I'm going to show you one way to do it, but there are a bajillion ways to do it. And what they're looking for, it always comes back to, is they want you to show mastery of these things. They want you to show that you can develop a central position or claim, that you understand how to organize ideas, and that you can show mastery of language, facility, and writing conventions. That's ultimately what it's always coming back to. So for the multiple choice portion, then they're going to give you somebody else's writing that has errors in it, and then they'll identify those errors, and then you have to figure out which of the choices, A, B, C, or D, would correct it. And then for the essay, then you're going to be producing an essay. You're going to be creating it yourself. So here are some of these different content categories broken down into a little bit more specific skills. And again, these are how our curriculum is laid out and designed. So in the language facility unit, there are lessons that address each of these things. So this is a great resource for you to have, the writing or the test at a glance. And this document that I've provided for you has it for all of the tests, all 5 of the tests. So that's something that I want you to be aware of. And then just kind of going back to Blackboard for a second, we're not going to have time to get to this today, so this is where we'll pick up tomorrow. But we'll work through this introductory unit together. And by the end of this unit, then you will have written an essay, received feedback from me, tried a multiple choice pretest. We've got an idea of where you're at with that in terms of how many you can get correct out of 25, and then write another essay. So by the end of that process, then I have a better understanding of where you're at and what your needs are, and I will proceed to develop an individualized learning plan for you that is going to send you to lessons within any of these units. But if we start with just unit 2, for example, then the writing conventions unit, right? Within each of these units, you have all of these different lessons, and there are multiple checkpoints throughout the way too. But let's say that, let's just take this subject-verb agreement, for example. So lesson about subject-verb agreement, right? You click on the folder, it takes you into the lesson. Within the lesson, then you'll have instructional videos. So you'll watch the videos, take notes. If you're watching the video and something you have a question about, you'll tell me about that in the classroom and we can talk through it. But you'll watch the videos to get an understanding and a groundwork about the concepts. And then each of these lessons also has supplemental instructional material. So for example, you click on this. This gives you some more information about subject-verb agreement, some things, to keep in mind when it comes to subject-verb agreement. Maybe as you're working through this, you watched the videos, they made perfect sense to you, you took good notes in your own personal notebook, then you got here and you're like, what does this mean? I don't get it. Then you come to the classroom and say to me, all right, so I'm working through subject-verb agreement. I got to the part where it talks about you remove the S in order to make the verb plural. Like, I don't know what that means. So we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out together. And then you have the opportunity to practice these skills. So again, this is where you can either write your answers in your own notebook, or if you want to type your answers up, then that's fine. But you'll work through these different exercises. And then I always provide the answer key for you, because that's important for me, that you get that instant feedback. And if you might be working on this, so Blackboard, Quill, those are available for you 24/7. So you might be working on this outside of class time, and you're going to want to know what you got. So I always provide the answer keys for you. So you'll work through the exercises, and then you'll check your work. You can send that to me, or you can come back to the classroom and say, hey, I worked through the subject-verb agreement exercises. A and B were a breeze. I totally understand it. I totally got it. No questions at all. And then on C, I just had one question about the lady with the cats. So can we talk about that? Absolutely. We'll talk about that together. We'll help make sure that you work through it and that it makes sense to you. And then, lesson D, I guess I had a question about the second one. So we'll talk about that together. We'll chat back and forth about it. If it's something that you prefer to, unmute yourself, me unmute myself, and we talk about it, that's fine too. Always, if there's something that comes up that I think is for the better of the entire class, then I unmute myself and I say, hey, everybody, can I have your attention? This question just came up. I think it's a great one. I think it would be pertinent to you. So let's talk about this. Then after you're done with the subject-verb agreement lesson, per se, this is just an example. So you have this ability to work through this same process in all of the lessons that are on Blackboard. But you'll say, I'm feeling good about subject-verb agreement. I didn't quite get it at first, but after doing all of this work on it, I get it now. I'm feeling good about it. Great. Then we'll figure out which lesson that you want to go to and move on to work on next. Or let's say, I think I might need a little bit more exercises. I might need a little bit more practice with subject-verb agreement. I'll find you some. Thank you for letting me know that. And let's for sure get you some additional support with that specific skill. So that's kind of the way that our Blackboard page is set up. But like I said, we'll work through this introductory unit together, and I'm hoping that we have it done by the end of the week. And then next week, that'll give us the opportunity to really pivot, and each of you will be on your own individualized track. All the while, you have me here in the classroom as an instructor to help guide and support you. So that said, I am going to be monitoring the chat, and I am going to check in with each of you and make sure that no one has any questions about any of the things we talked about today.